Welcome to the Learning to Love podcast. I'm Paul Moschetta.
And I'm Evelyn Moschetta. We are marriage therapists who are married and have been living and working together for over 40 years.
Today we're continuing our conversation about the special kind of trust we discovered in strong, healthy marriages. We call this trust unquestioned because it's strong, steady, and uncompromised. It's the kind of trust that puts your relationship on a rock-solid foundation where you feel safe enough to be yourself, and then you're able to extend that same safety to your partner as well. We analyzed this unquestioned trust that bonds couples closely and happily together and found that it had 6 dimensions, really 6 expectations partners had of each other. Meeting these expectations is what creates unquestioned trust. Now, a brief word about expectations. In a relationship, there are 2 kinds of expectations that we can have of one another. There are coercive expectations that come from my self-centered ego. For example, expecting my partner to think like I do, want what I want, do things the way I do them when I want to do them. And if they don't, I'm frustrated and annoyed, and I judge and blame and criticize. Coercive expectations are based on personal demands. They drain love out of your relationship, leaving it full of bickering and animosity. The expectations that unquestioned trust are based on are not coercive because they're not based on personal demands. They're based on universal values of personal integrity and relationship harmony. Instead of being forced and imposed, they are expectations that are mutually agreed upon by partners, so there are no coercion in them at all. We spoke about the first trust expectation last time. Trust that you will be sexually faithful to one another. The second expectation of unquestioned trust is trust that you will not harm, reject, or control one another.
If you don't trust that your partner won't harm you physically, then you need to talk to someone as soon as possible. It could be a friend or a family member, a clergy person or a trained therapist, or a community resource dedicated to helping victims of domestic violence. Telling someone about your abusive situation is the first step toward getting the right kind of help. Now, feeling rejected or controlled is a more common type of trust breakdown. Rejecting and controlling behavior is a sign that you're acting from a selfish ego, an ego that likes to win at all costs, likes to be right, and is capable of a level of insensitivity that leaves someone you say you love feeling rejected. Now, this is a serious contradiction, calling for some soul searching and a look at how you actually are in your relationship. Number 3, trust you will keep one another and your marriage a top priority. A common marital problem is how couples allow careers, children, family, friends, businesses, hobbies, and practically anything else to come before their commitment to each other. Now, under stress, we regress. I'll repeat that. Under stress, we regress. When we feel overwhelmed, we withdraw, cover up, and go into survival mode. We then stop making each other a top important priority. Life is complicated. There are so many demands pulling on each of us, and they must be met, but not at the cost of neutralizing your passion for one another. The quality of your togetherness, the bond of your emotional and physical connection, is what enables you to be at your best in the family and in work. Seeing that we each keep one another and our relationship an important priority makes us more willing and able to give to others. Here are some pointers to help in this process.
Be alert and don't allow yourselves to drift apart like two ships passing in the night. Make a conscious effort to check in with one another. Ask your partner how their day went, but really mean it. Ask what's on their mind and how they feel about what's on their mind. Be careful about what you say yes to. Don't overload your relationship with unnecessary outside commitments. Be determined to carve out some time together no matter how busy you are. Keep it simple. Focus on one another and not the actual activity. Praise and compliment one another often when you're alone and in front of family and friends. And finally, don't commit to anything without consulting with one another first.
Now, the fourth dimension of trust is trust that we love each other without ulterior motives. This means being absolutely sure that you are loved for who you are, for the essence of your being, and not for some ulterior motive. Some examples of ulterior motives might be only wanting you because you have a large, loving family and I grew up as an only, lonely child. Or wanting you because you have money and status and a lifestyle I want. Or wanting you because of your physical beauty. Or because you can be useful to me in gaining some goal or objective. Or because I feel weak and dependent and see you as strong and a rescuer. With unquestioned trust, I know I am loved without any ulterior motives. The love you offer feels motive-free because I can be totally myself without pretense and without meeting some kind of an image or a coercive expectation. I feel fully seen and fully heard, and in return feel deeply loved. Many people feel that if they were truly fully known, they would not be deeply loved. Unquestioned trust erases this kind of fear and provides a powerful, self-affirming sense of being loved simply for who I truly am.
Expectation number 5. Trust that we will not abandon each other in the face of anger, conflict, and disagreements. When partners let their anger rage out of control, or if they silently store up grievances until they can't take it anymore, the word divorce is thrown out as a way of getting one up and seemingly winning the battle. Threatening divorce or abruptly leaving during an argument damages the basic trust between you. And damaging your trust in this way is a much greater problem than the issue you were arguing about in the first place. Creating unquestioned trust between you and your partner means not threatening one another with divorce or leaving. It's something we both agree not to do, and we back up that agreement by not using the D word and by not disappearing for long periods of time after an argument. We both agree we won't use the fear of divorce or abandonment as a weapon against one another. Period. End of story. And if we do let our anger get out of hand, taking a break to cool off can help if it's not done by saying, I'm angry and I'm out of here and I storm off. If I say, I'm too angry to talk, I need to take a break, I'll be back in an hour, that's fine. That doesn't threaten abandonment, and it doesn't add to the mistrust in your relationship.
6, and the final dimension of trust that we discovered, was trust in your own capacity to be trustworthy. You develop trust in your own capacity to be trustworthy when you take full responsibility for your own actions and not tie them to your partner's behavior. For example, if your partner broke the trust in your relationship by having an affair, you continue to demonstrate your trustworthiness by not doing the same. If your partner speaks harshly or acts abusively, you do not retaliate by doing the same. If your partner threatens to leave, you don't come up with a threat of your own. You make sure that you do not engage in a tit-for-tat game. If you really value being trustworthy, you begin by valuing it in yourself. You don't allow your partner's behavior to pull you away from your commitment to personal integrity and relationship harmony.
Now that we've reviewed the 6 expectations of unquestioned trust, here's an exercise you and your partner can do to check on the level of trust in your relationship. Now be mindful, this is not an opportunity to gain winning or bashing your partner. It's an opportunity for some clarity and closeness. First of all, write down the 6 expectations we've just gone over. Now go off by yourself and read each one. Ask yourself, does my partner come through for me in this way? If the answer is no, write down 1 or 2 examples, concrete examples which demonstrate this. For example, if you don't trust your partner won't harm, reject, or control you, give some instance where you felt harmed, rejected, or controlled. Next step, do the exact same thing, only this time ask yourself how you meet each of those expectations. How well do you come through for your partner along each of those dimensions?
The third part of this exercise is when you have both completed answering parts 1 and 2. It is now time to share your observations. But before you do, it's important that you create the right setting. Begin by sitting together in quiet for a few minutes. It's even a good idea to hold hands. You're going to need to shelve your ego and invite your witnessing capacity to be present. As you sit silently together, create a safe place with uninterrupted time. That means if there are kids, they're asleep, phone is off, the TV is off, there is uninterrupted time. Begin by quieting your mind. Breathe deeply and let go of any interfering thoughts. Bring your attention to this current moment. Next, you activate your witnessing capacity to make sure that you're not slipping into blaming or judging each other. Next, let go of images. Try as hard as you can to see each other new and with innocent eyes. Make sure your mind is not floating around somewhere in the past or projecting into the future. Stay present. Now, take turns telling each other where the trust between you needs to be made stronger, where it's already strong, and where it needs some work. Listen to each other with an open heart, and remember that honesty that comes from your best self is always accompanied with kind intentions.
As we said earlier, unquestioned trust puts your marriage on a rock-solid foundation. When you come through for each other with unquestioned trust, you help each other cross the bridge from insecurity to security. As a result, your insecure ego calms down and has less of a hold on you. Your behavior is less influenced by your selfish self and becomes more an expression of your best self. And it's your best self that you need in your relationship. You'll be able to stay consistently connected at a sexual, emotional, and spiritual level, which is what all of us want to feel.
Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.